So last week we had the groundbreaking Grammys that actually was good for one. We had some iconic performances, we had some iconic looks, and we actually had history in the making. Beyoncé winning her first ever album of the year. Finally. However, I've noticed something. Some of y'all are really mad, and I don't love to see it. And some of you are just not getting the impact of this album. Hi, I'm Styleboy, and today I will be explaining why Beyoncé deserved to win Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter. Wait, this ain't Texas. Before we get into this video, I will just say a couple of disclaimers. One, I am not getting into any conspiracy theories. Girly, that's a whole thing that I will never get into. Secondly, I will not be getting into the whole like Jay-Z controversies with him and P. Diddy and all that stuff. I don't know too much about this case, and it is definitely not my place if I don't know a lot of information to bring it up also. So this is not getting into that, and I also just don't think it's the space to talk about it. So I just wanted to kind of be open about that. And then thirdly, this is all just my opinion, you know, the rules, You know what to do. If you're watching this, like, and you disagree with me and you have constructive criticism, perfect. However, if you're just gonna be a little racist and just try and degrade her and say this isn't a country album, do not comment any hate, you will be getting blocked. That's kind of my main point, really. If you're in for a good time and you're in for a throwdown, yeah, let's just begin with this video on why Beyoncé deserved Album of the Year. Point number one about this. The reason this album is existing at this moment in time within history, within the conversation of the music industry, and within the genre of country music. There is some lore to this, if I remember correctly. Beehive, please correct me if I'm wrong. Beyoncé in 2016 released a song called Daddy Issues with the Chicks, who were formerly known as the Dixie Chicks. And this was like a proper country song before Cowboy Carter came out. I was like streaming it and I was loving it. It's so country within its storytelling of the lyrics. Like, this literally is portraying a story. And if you did not know, storytelling is one of the key aspects of country music, which made sense into why Taylor Swift was so big with her storytelling, because it was like storytelling lyrically, but towards a younger audience. And even now, she still continued that within pop with stuff like Getaway Car and even more recent So Long London and stuff like that. Anyway, it's got great storytelling. It's got proper like, yeehaw! Like, we're literally around like, I don't know, someone's front yard in like Texas or something. It's just like people are just like banging their guitar, and it literally just feels like a story is being told, which is, I think, the origins of country music. And I know that the Black community actually began country music in general as well. I'll put on the screen when it like originated and all this stuff. But I remember this happened. And then the Country Music Awards would not accept her, nor would even put her down for any awards, saying it wasn't country enough, which obviously racism, because this is super country. What are you talking about? Especially if you listen to it, it's so country within like its melody, with again, its storytelling, its production. Everything about this is a country song. And also country, I will say, is one of the genres that is like not really progressing with the times. Like sonically, even socially, like Jesus Christ, it's still one of the most racist and homophobic genres. Do you remember when Lil Nas X said Old Town Road was a country song and everyone got in the hoo-ha? Like, this was kind of the same effect. And Beyoncé was mad, as she should be. Like, she was basically shunned from an entire genre because of the color of her skin. She decided to make this entire album to prove that point, that Black people do deserve to be in country, and Black people do make country music now. She did like a whole Instagram post when the album came out. I think I'll put it on the screen here. And on top of that, with the whole Renaissance, like Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3 coming up, they're all about genres that Black people introduced into the music industry and into the world, but now have been forgotten, almost like reclaiming that reclamation of this is our genre, and that Black people deserve to be here. So with Renaissance, it was referencing the ballroom scene. Renaissance is like a perfect album, by the way. It's literally, I think, my number 6 favorite album ever, which is really impressive because I've honestly just grown to love it. Reclaiming house music and disco and honoring Black, gay, queer, and trans people, which is so beautiful and amazing. And especially, I remember when I was doing research for my Renaissance video, she was dedicating it to her Uncle Johnny, who was a Black queer man. And so with this album, it's doing the exact same, but for a different audience, which is reclaiming it for the people who were in country before and honoring and opening the gates up for future country stars, which I love. Black country stars, having their moment to shine, and this album literally gave them that platform. For example, Shaboozey, Tana Adele, Britney Spencer, Tiara Kennedy, Linda Martell as well. Like, it's just so many amazing collaborations, and the way that this album really honors that country roots but also explores different themes within that is absolutely amazing, and different genres as well. Because I remember in Beyonce's acceptance speech for Country Album of the Year, which by the way was done with my girl Taylor. As a fan of both, I died. I was like, what a great day to be me. And the picture of Taylor literally being like, is me. The one thing that Beyonce said was like, genres are quite limiting and artists should not be confined to just one genre because you will lose inspiration, you'll lose sources. I agree with this so much because she is trying to prove the point that any person can belong in any genre as long as they're making music to fit within that genre. That's literally it. They can expand into different genres, they can test out different things. Like even within Cowboy Carter, there's like trap beats, there's a little bit of R&B in there, there's Americana, there's rock, there's literally Italian opera. And the way that she was able to just explore all of this, yet it sound cohesive and still fit as a project is absolutely amazing. And again, she's just proving to the entire industry, and not only to the entire industry, but to new artists coming up and to future artists coming up and to the current artists in the industry that like, you can explore and you should be able to explore, and you should be honored and celebrated for that versus shunned because only a particular group of people should belong within a genre. You get me? Just the commitment of honestly just wanting to just create space. And I think this is very much something that Beyonce has really prioritized recently within her career. I think from like Lemonade onwards is honoring and celebrating and creating Black safe spaces, which is so important. And I think especially within the world that we're in currently, where there's such a political divide of like one versus the other, and I feel like I can imagine so many people, I mean, I am feeling it personally, and this is more within terms of queerness and being autistic, just feeling lost and kind of feeling like I don't know where to go. And just Beyonce kind of opening that doors and opening the door for artists to be celebrated and to be welcomed and to look up to someone who's breaking those boundaries, who's creating spaces, who's literally making the table for Black artists to sit there and to get the same recognition that they've always deserved. It's something that's truly amazing and inspiring. And yes, Beyonce is not the only artist doing this at the moment, but she is one of the artists. And that's something I feel immensely makes Beyonce's projects stand out compared to other projects, is who she's creating space for, the purpose that she's making this music for, and the way that it's just so inviting and welcoming. It's almost similar to Chapel Roan in the way of creating spaces and being open for queerness and queer people. And that's why honestly my top two picks when I did my Grammys videos was those two, because of what they're creating and the impact of their music. I love it. I seriously love it. And it's truly one of the most beautiful things on earth. And I'm just a fan of both of these artists. Just makes me incredibly proud. So reason number two to me is the quality of this album is absolutely incredible. And that's why I kind of find it funny when so many people are like, this is a bad album. I'm like, are we listening to the same thing? If you don't like country music, that's completely fine. I feel like no one's expecting you to be like, oh my God, yeah, I love country music, ah. No one is really wanting you to be like, yes, you must love it. And of course, everyone has their own personal music tastes, for example. Like, I'm not a massive fan, at least I'm trying to more get into rap, but it's not particularly my favorite genre. Yeah, I can recognize that Not Like Us deserve to win both of those awards. The quality of this album is absolutely incredible. The way that, again, the storytelling, the production, and all the genres that are put into this album is absolutely so genius. And also the references. There are so many different samples and references, both obvious and not obvious, that makes me go like, oh my God, this is so genius. And that's like one of the beauties of music, when you can hear everything and you can honestly hear the soul that's put into this. This album, again, is so crafted, and you can tell like executively produced in such a way that feels incredibly Beyonce. That's why she still calls this like, this isn't a country album, it's a Beyonce album. And I literally cannot agree more with that. I mean, it is country, but it's also Beyonce, so every single detail and the way that it almost is like you can picture this album. Like you could picture the scenarios and the scenes, which is why again Beyonce does such good visual media, because when you listen to this, you can see where you're at. Like for example, like I can literally see what's happening in Daughter. Like I can see the scenario, I can see how it play out. It's completely different to Levi Jeans, and just the amount of visual storytelling is amazing. And also another thing that Beyonce does so well on this album, and it's like one of my favorite things that she did in Renaissance, is the flow. There is such good flow within this album. Oh my god. There's like one section which has such a good flow. It's like Desert Eagle to Riverdance to Two Hands to Heaven to Tyrant. Life was changed. And they just flow so perfectly. And honestly, it's like one of my favorite parts when I get to that part of the album. I'm like, oh my god. It's so dreamy and I love it. And the way that it just feels natural is so amazing. And I think also the one highlight for me, I mean there's so many highlights, but my one highlight of this album, because it's literally my favorite song from the album, I would also argue maybe objectively the best? Comment down below. I would say it's Yaya. Every time I listen to the album, like it is literally objectively the best song. It really highlights what Beyonce does well, which is her incredible vocals, because she is such a vocalist, and like especially as she's gotten older, her vocals are deeper and raspier. They just work so well, especially within this album, and also the harmonies, and it almost feels like we're in like a TV show, and I love it. So the soundscaping and the world building within that track is great. But not only that, the amount of genres and references that flow within it. Like there's a reference to these boots are made for walking. That reference, and then there's a reference to was it Beach Boys? Down, 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 doo-doo. It feels like there's also a reference to Elvis as well, so very Americana, which again, great. I know there's another song on the album which is like the Beatles, and it's like a cover of a Beatles song, which I didn't even realize, which was originally made for the black community anyway, which I'm like, yes. The way that this song just has such a life and an explosion. It feels just so amazing to see. It's literally my favorite, and all the instruments and the production and the way that like, I love it. I love it. This is Beyonce's strength, and it's so highlighted within that track. I put this really high into my albums of the year from a subjective view because I absolutely love it. So again, just having both. Do I have criticisms for this album? Yes, because just because you love something doesn't mean it's like perfect, and criticism is completely fair. Like again, like I said when I was doing my album ranking, I do feel like there's a lot of just like filler in between tracks that just are a bit like, where are we going? And also there's moments a bit slow, but that doesn't mean I still don't love it. And also, not only in terms of me, but in terms of critics absolutely adored this. I don't know what Metacritic score it got, but I know it got really high. It feels like just every single time we go to a Beyonce album, it just gets better and better and better and better. And it's inspiring. Inspiring because you can tell she's really thinking about every single detail. And you know what? That's truly amazing. I guess like the third point, which this isn't really a reason why I would say so, but it's a reason in general, which is the speech that Jay-Z made last year about Beyonce not winning album of the year and her finally getting it. Yes, this happened, and it doesn't mean she deserved it less, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that it was a pity vote, and I really just like hope that people don't view it as a pity vote, because to me, I do not believe that any of Beyonce's albums that were in this category before, so Renaissance, Lemonade, Self-Titled, they should have won. I really hope that people don't view it as just, oh, pity, like she needs to have it to do our wrongs. Like, I just really hope they don't. I know they kept on going on about like 13,000 people in the thingy, Jesus Christ, but it truthfully does deserve to win in my opinion. And you could literally see like artists like bawling their eyes out, like, and celebrating her winning, which is so amazing. Cause again, to me, this doesn't just feel like a win for Beyonce, it's a win for the industry. Because it's finally the industry recognizing the talent that Beyonce has in crafting truly amazing albums. It's true. Every artist at some point references, loves, or aspires to be like Beyonce. someone who can truthfully put on a show, because Beyonce is one of the best performers in the world. Hands down, dancing, singing, everything. She's also such a creative mastermind. Well, she's a Virgo, so she really has attention to detail, and especially if you watch the Renaissance like tour film, you can really see like her really getting into like the nitty gritty and like really thinking of everything, and you can also tell within this project that's the case. And she chooses collaborators to work with that make sense and develop these projects and bring them into fruition and into life. She still has throughout every single song her Beyonce signature. It's never gone, it's never disappeared. And to me, I feel like we really had this down when Beyonce came, the self-titled album. I feel like from that point, it was the moment I noticed a switch into I'm a pop star, like ladies be aware of me, to I am now a legend. Listen, watch me as a masterclass. And I love seeing when an artist really understands their strengths and pushes themselves and develops projects they are truly proud of, inspire them creatively, and just expand themselves and expand their catalog and choose different things and just want to reference. Oh God, it's just amazing. And it's just something that I feel like, again, so many artists aspire to now. Like, full stop. And you can see it for our artists' work. You can see it throughout different celebrities and how they carry themselves and how they're creating work. It's truly inspiring and it's truly amazing. And just truthfully, Beyonce is the industry. She is one of the main industry darlings. Not in terms of being like I am literally in control of the industry, look at me be a puppeteer, but in terms of she is who is inspiring people now. The same way that Taylor is in a different market. They are both inspiring future artists ahead to develop things that they were developing throughout their career. I also came on a decades Beyonce's been in. It's kind of crazy. Like, if you really think about it, she has been in the industry, it's like what, since the 90s really? So 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and now 2020. That's 4 decades. That is crazy. It looks like she's not slowing down. It almost feels like she's getting better. Like, with as more time and experiences carry on, she's just developing and wanting to grow, and I love it. I love it so much, and I just feel like, to me, she truly does deserve Album of the Year. I just feel like with Cowboy Carter alone, it truthfully does deserve Album of the Year. Like, it does, and I can't really argue for that, because I just feel like once you listen to it, you truthfully do understand why. Again, if you don't like the album, that's fine. No one's saying you have to, but to discredit it and say it doesn't deserve it is a whole different category within itself. I don't know, I just feel kind of happy. I remember I was on my phone in the morning, because as I do, I get really excited, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to see the looks. I just saw quickly, because I was responding to DMs before I did that, Beyonce Album of the Year, and I was like, what? So I checked the winners, I was like, I was just so elated when it happened, because it's just like, she finally got it. She finally got it, and she deserves it, and I'm just so proud. I don't even know her personally, and I feel proud. Also, another argument I have to say to the girlies that are like, this didn't make cultural impact, this didn't make noise, I forgot this has existed. Let's get into this. A bitch has points to say. The hat is needed on. Firstly, to this album made 0 impact. To that point, I would like to say otherwise. Like I said in the beginning, that point of genres and allowing, not even allowing, but advocating for Black people to be seen within country music is enough of a point. I don't think it caused this, because I do think maybe Shaboozey had it on her own, but I'm pretty sure Beyonce helped Shaboozey get to the success that he is now, where he was nominated for country, he was nominated Song of the Year, and he was nominated for Best New Artist. I'm pretty sure she helped develop his fame, and also the recognition of the other country girls, so 100%. And also, in terms of social media, I remember seeing so many posts, even before this album came out, of being like, here are other Black girls in country to follow, here are other Black country artists to follow. And to me, that's plenty of impact. That's how I discovered Tana Adele, and I love her, by the way. That's my girl. I have fallen in love with her. I feel like the first song I really liked was like Love You a Little Bit. That song is so cute, and it's like so country, and I'm like, ah! And again, I would have never discovered her if Cowboy Carter didn't come out and people weren't talking about it. Also, we did have a country girl spring. You cannot forget that. It was like where Casey Musgrave's album was coming out, where Beyonce's album was coming, and then Lana was like, I'm gonna release a country album, and then she went silent. But we also had Dasha, I'll put it on the screen, but that also became big. It's like people were recognizing country music can be fun and were giving space to country music. So just because they didn't have a Brat Summer doesn't mean it didn't make impact, because it really, really did without you realizing. Yep, in my opinion, the album could have had better marketing. Like, girly, where was the marketing after? Where was the single? Where were the visuals? And don't give me the excuse of, you are the visuals. No. It did make noise and did make an impact. I mean, to be fair, there were so many albums that came out last year. Even like looking back onto like the album of the year category, apart from the two men, they all had like their moment to shine. It was like a damn. It was so wild how many albums were nominated, how many artists released last year. It was kind of crazy, and I feel like this year we're really not slowing down anytime soon. Work, bitch, the pop divas are back. And also, please may I add, it's now making an impact because the tour's coming up as well. So people are still excited. I'm gonna try and get tickets, fingers crossed. And again, people are gonna be selling them out. How popular the Renaissance tour is, this is gonna be the exact same. And those same people who were like, I didn't see the impact, are gonna be at that concert and are gonna be screaming the words. I feel like, honestly, I've got my points across. I think this album deserved it, and I am so happy for this album to win Album of the Year. I hope you enjoyed this video. I haven't done a music video in a bit, and I love it, so believe me, there will be more. I kind of want to do also a video, comment if you'd be interested, about like ranking or discussing like the Blackpink solo careers, like now, because they're touring as a group, so before their album comes out as a group. I'd love to know. I'd love to know if you'd be interested, and the same with the Little Mix girls. Like, I'd love to do their ones as well and analyze them. So comment down below and maybe we will. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in 2 weeks' time. Bye!